Welcome to the Shit I'm 30 podcast. This is the weekly show where we discuss and share our unfiltered opinions on topics such as mental health, relationships, sometimes it gets a little kinky, and we talk about sex, parenting, and so much more. With me, your host, Carla Ramirez. Now, my goal is to get rid of society's expectations about where we should be when we're in our 30s and just free ourselves to live the lives that we've always dreamed of. Now, friends, remember, it is never too late. Mm-hmm. Welcome back, guys. This week, I want to introduce you from the get-go because it's something that I said that I was very excited about, and it's the fact that it's the first person on the show as a guest that I've coached before on a podcast.
Yay.
And I brag about your show, honestly, because I love your artwork. I love how much work you've put into it and your consistency with your show. So go ahead and introduce yourself because you're a podcaster, okay?
I'm a podcaster. That sounds a little weird. Yes. Hey, guys. My name is Ashley Rose, and I am the host of Dear Overthinker podcast.
Yes.
And Carla is I said that she's just like my mentor. Like I just adopted her as my mentor. And she started doing those, they're the one-on-ones. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what? I was in a certain point in my life. I was like, let me just do it. And she always kept on saying, invest in yourself. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I was so nervous. Like, let me tell you, I was so nervous. Oh, I don't know. Just being judged. So it's already, and like, this is your field. And so I didn't know.
Wait, judged by me?
Yes.
Oh, girl, stop.
Because it was something I wanted to do. And so then that was your niche. So I was like, okay, our niche, however they say it. And so I was like, man, what if she thinks like my idea sucks? And then she's like, okay, girl, you're crazy. Like, go back to the drawing board. So I was nervous. And then when I met with you, you like actually liked my idea and you empowered me. So
you had a great idea.
It was awesome. So no, but yeah, that's kind of how I know you. And you gave me a lot of great tools, and I just literally gave me a whole bunch of homework. And I think for a whole month, I was just like grinding. I ordered everything and I just was checking off. I made a checklist based off of everything you did. And so I'm very grateful for
I'm glad because I actually like your sound is great. I told you, you're doing a great job. And even now you're like, I don't know if I should do AB. Just work with it. It'll keep flowing. But the reason why I have you on is because I'll be straightforward. I had someone that I was supposed to be recording this exact episode with a couple of days ago. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, let's make it late so I can put the kids to bed. And I'm like, 9 o'clock. Whew, girl, I'd be tired by 9 o'clock. Like at 7 o'clock, I'm asleep, you know? I'm up so early. Like usually I'm up around 5 a.m. So I was waiting for her at 7 o'clock. You know, when I started getting tired, I'm like, hey, I'm just making sure you're going to be here because it was Monday and the show was for Tuesday. Like it was very last minute. And I usually don't do that. But I was working around her schedule. And at 7 something, she's like, oh my God, something came up. Someone came into town. And I'm like, what does that have to do with you coming over to record? Like I switched everything up for you. So I didn't post that happened. But right away you messaged me and you're like, oh my God, I have something to say about this topic.
Oh my goodness. Can I tell you? So that's God, because you had posted an Insta story and because you did your last episode that was with virtual.
Yes.
And you were so anti-virtual. And so once that was successful, you're like, hey, do you guys want to be on the show? What can you bring to the show? Mm-hmm. So being the overthinker that I am again. And I mean, I talked to you on, I'm always messaging you, but then I'm like, no, I got to have the perfect pitch. So then I was like thinking of like, what am I going to pitch to her? And then I was watching your stories and you're like, oh, so I have a 30-something-year-old woman who is married for 10 years and starting over. And I'm like, that person stole my identity. Like now I'm not unique. I was like, why did they steal my identity? Like now what am I going to say? And so then I was recording a different topic that was kind of off of that, but it was like more of a spin off of that. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, let me just pitch it. Worst thing she could say is no. So when you said that it fell through, man, I said, Lord, thank you. No, like, and you knew that was supposed to be me.
It was supposed to be you. And I like that you said that I talked about pitching because I did, and I was very serious. People do come to me with just a bunch of nothing, so I want to be on it. Recently, I really don't know who it was, but he's like, hey, so I'm a young boy, and I would love to be on your podcast. I have all these opinions about all these things. And I said, oh, great pitch again.
What
all these opinions of all these things. How young? So I said, how old are you? He said, I'm 18. Where I was, have you ever listened to my podcast? You're a male and 18. What the hell am I going to bring you on here for, boy? So I think he responded. I never even looked at it. He's like, he just kept saying like a lot of things. And I'm like, well, a lot of nothings because you're not going to do it. But you are a testament, as I really do like stories. Like I don't sit here and go for just other podcasters or celebrities or any type of people. Like even the last person, Carolyn, who I did the virtual interview with, she's not a podcaster. She just has a dope story. So if you have a cool story or something that's interesting to me, I'm going to be like, hey, let's do it. Yeah. So let's get started because we're going to go into why you're here, like in your story. But our shit you should know this week, I sent you a video, which I'm going to play. Yes, I'm going to play it right now because it comes from a news source. So that video basically was a little girl avoiding and hiding behind a car because someone was basically watching her. We won't ever know off of that video what really they were trying to do with the little girl. But what we can assume from how sketchy it was and how scared she was is that they were probably trying to, you know, kidnap her. What would they kidnap her for right now? Sex trafficking. It's not that sex trafficking hasn't been big for a very long time. It's just now with social media and the news and us being able to see it, it's in our face all the time. And now we have women knowing that everyone knows, talking about it. And when one speaks, the other one will speak, and people will, you know, feel more confident talking about it. When I go to Atlanta, I say I think it looks fake, but when you go to the Atlanta airport, you see all the signs. They look like movie signs. And I remember telling one of my friends, I'm like, is that a new movie coming out? But she's like, no, bitch, it's real. Sex trafficking is that bad. And come to find out, it's really bad here in Orlando as well, in Florida.
It's here. It's actually bad here in DC too.
Really? I think it's bad everywhere at this point. It's just so bad. So I looked for a couple of things that we should talk to our kids because you have kids. And I have, Ayana. So you have how many kids? 2?
2.
Jesus. That's a lot.
No, it seems like a lot. What has happened when 2 kids are a lot? But goodness.
1 is a lot. 2, Jesus. But I figured I did an episode on Patreon. So if you guys are not Patreons, I did an episode with Ayana, my daughter, my 14-year-old daughter, and we talked about sex trafficking, what she, you know, has to say. And I actually wish I would have recorded the conversation I had with her and her friend in the car. I showed them another little girl's photo, and it's a little girl that looked just like my daughter. A 15-year-old who was actually like missing. And I'm telling her, look, there's all these different ways that you can be kidnapped. I showed her a TED talk of a girl saying that she was befriended by the most popular girl in school, or who she looked up to as a popular girl. And the girl basically told her, hey, do you want to come to my birthday party? And she's like, oh my God, like I'm being invited to the birthday party. So the girl picked her up, took her to the birthday party. They had a great time. She's like, hey, do you want to stay over? Because, you know, it's late. So she stayed over at the house. The next day, when she was taking her home, they don't stop at the house. They stop at a strip club. And she tells her, so you need to go in there. And she's like, I thought we were going home. And she's like, whoa, I spent this much on the party, this much on food, this much on the drinks, this much on the skating. So you owe me this amount of money, which is like a couple hundred. So to a 15, 16-year-old, that's a lot. She's like, go. You have to go in there and make the money back. Or like your family will be in trouble or whatever. And there was 2 guys and they're waiting for me. She's like, don't try to do anything stupid. There's 2 guys and they're waiting for you. So they were waiting for her. She ended up having to dance. And they didn't let her go home. They drugged her. So for about a year or some change, she was sex trafficked. And I'm telling Ayana, I'm like, it doesn't have to be a scary man. It can be someone literally that one of your peers, one of your friends. Like in your high school, there probably is a student there that is being sex trafficked. So you never know who's who. So don't do anything stupid. Don't go out walking. Like she killed me the other day. I found her going to the corner store by her school and didn't tell me. I just happened to like show up early and I saw her. I was so angry, but I'm telling her, baby girl, once you leave that campus, you're property of the world.
Yeah, but we did that too. I think it's so scary. It's hard because, I mean, we didn't have cell phones like that. But I remember like after school, especially when we did sports, when we got out of school early, we would go walk to McDonald's and everything before practices or games. And my mom didn't know where I was, but she knew I was home always with my chores done before she got home. That's the only thing I needed, is to beat her home.
Oh, this motherfucker don't do her chores either.
Well, I'm scared. I'm scared. But the scare, I understand it. I think it's just, like, I get that, and I feel like I preach the same thing. But then I think about how I didn't understand the risk either when I was that age. Because I'm like, I'm just going to the store.
And it's so much bigger now. I feel like we have risks. We had risks. But now, I don't know. It's just, it seems like the world, and I'm not that much older.
Of it.
Yeah, but I was able to play outside. You know, I played with my friends. I used to ride my bike. I don't even let my daughter go outside. Like when she goes to walk her friends to her house, literally probably 4 houses down, I'm like, hurry up. Call me on FaceTime when you're walking back. Like, I'm scared or I'll walk outside. Or she goes, I'm going to 7-Eleven, which is literally around the corner from my house. Yeah. And I'm like, take the dog. Like, I'm just terrified all the time. So I found some things, you know, to talk to your kids about when it comes to sex trafficking. And one of them was like, set a high standard of love within your home. So I feel like a lot of kids are searching for love in all the wrong places. So, you know, love your kids at home. And it doesn't matter how many whoopings I give this girl or how many times I yell at her. You know, I end the night going to give her a kiss, telling her I love her. Like, I'm so proud of you. Even when I'm screaming at her that her grades are shitty, I'm like, I know you're smarter than this. Like, you are so bright. Do better. So
Give them self-worth.
Yes. Talk to your children about sexual abuse. Your kids are how old?
I have a 12-year-old and a 5-year-old.
So have you had
12-year-old boy?
Have you had like the talk with the boy?
I go about it. I call it the American Pie story way. I'm just very vulgar and make it not seem like it's fun at all. So I'm super direct. I was like, you know, he has like a little school girlfriend, and I'm like, well, if you kiss her, you can get herpes. Like, just letting you know, you could probably get herpes. And he's like, huh? I'm like, it's possible. You don't know. So I try to go like really direct with him. So we do have it, and then like he went to some course this summer with one of the fraternities, and they had like young black men, and they had them put like condoms on a banana. So like, I'll let them know. Like, I'll talk about it very vulgar about it. I know, but I'm like, listen, I was like, if you don't put a condom on your I was like, your banana, which is not your banana, it's your penis. And he's like, I get it, Mom. I was like, but if you don't do that, I was like, I'm letting you know. I was like, I don't want you to ever do it. I was like, your penis could burn and fall off, and it's just not fun. He's like, what are you talking about? So I'm a little over dramatic, and it probably isn't healthy, but I don't know how else.
So I said I was going to talk about this convo that I had with Ayana and her friend. She got in the car. It was a day that I posted the post about T.I., how I felt about it.
Yeah.
And my caption to it was like, I'll make sure that my daughter's a virgin as long as possible. Yeah. So behind it, I put, you know, I was going to put the fear of, you know, pregnancy, the fear of, you know, having your money, the fear of not being able to fulfill your dreams, the fear of STDs, you know, the fear of being embarrassed in school because it will happen. So I didn't realize I only had her blocked off my stories. So she goes on my Instagram and she comments something like, oh boy, I'm scared now. So I deleted it, of course. And I'm like, get off my Instagram, like, get off. So she gets in the car with her friend and she's like, gosh, Mom, thanks so much for posting me on your Instagram. And I'm like, girl, it's a conversation that I've had with you before. So her friend, I turn around to her friend and I said something about, you're not going to have sex till you're 40. And her friend's like, yeah, my mom wants to put me on birth control. And I said, excuse me? So I was by that gas station where I told you they went to, and I stopped, and my heart I didn't know. And I'm like, this is not my child, and I should not be saying this, but fuck it. I'm like, your mom's trying to do what? Put you on birth control? I was like, you're having sex? She's like, oh no. It's just because my sister got pregnant at 16. She doesn't want me to get pregnant. And I'm like, okay, so I'm thinking instead of having to talk with her, you're just going to automatically put her on birth control.
Put a Band-Aid on it, yeah.
Right. So I spoke to them both and I said, listen, let me have a conversation with you both. Sex is great. Sex feels good. But you're going to have such a long time to fuck. And they both go, and I was like, Mom. And I'm like, baby girl, I'm only 32. I had you when I turned 18, and I feel like I've been fucking for a really long time. And this means that I'm only 32, and I can still fuck for another 30 years. And they're both looking at me like, are you really talking to us like that? But I'm like,
and some.
Right. And I'm saying that, I'm not even saying just, you know, have sex, penetration, because I know this is how they think they're cool talking at school, and how the songs go and what they're repeating. So I'm like, I'm going to talk to y'all the same way that your friends are talking to you, making it seem cool. So I'm like, you're going to be fucking for a long time. And the thing about it is when you're first doing it, I'm like, these kids, first of all, they don't know what they're doing. They're all going to tell you they love you, you're the greatest. But after they're done, they're going to tell everybody your pussy stank. You know, they're going to talk about you.
It happens.
It's going to happen. And and we had the problem where, you know, the school would know. Our kids have the issue that it's going to go viral on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok, whatever is new, but it's going to be on the internet forever. So I'm like, if you do it now in 9th grade, it's going to follow you forever. forever. And these guys, you don't know where they're going to go to them. She told me that
They're not worth it.
it's not worth it. I've showed her the guys that I thought were really cute when I was in high school and I was all into, and now they look like trash. Like, seriously, like trash. And I do tell her, I did have sex when I was young, but I didn't want to. Like, my parents were I didn't have the communication with them. So I tell her, Lela didn't talk to me about this. Your grandpa was just like, there's no fucking sex and you don't be a whore and bull. And my mom was just like, there was never any sex talk. It's like, don't you dare.
Yeah.
Like, that, I don't think I ever had a sex talk and not even with my period.
Yeah.
I got my period very young, and she didn't tell me like, oh, you can get pregnant now or anything like that. Just figure it out from school and whatever you hear on the house. So I'm talking to them about all this and that. And again, I turned back to them. I said, sex is great. Sex feels good. Trust me, the first time it's not going to be that great anyway. And you're not going to know really what you like or what you don't like until later on. And you want it to be something special. I say, make it something special. You know why? Because you only get to lose your virginity one time. You only get to give it to one person. And you don't want that one time to be the one time that's going to embarrass you or the one time when you catch something. I'm like,
yes.
Right. I said, I let her listen to part of the herpes thing because she was around. She heard some of the stuff. So I talked to her about it. And I said, it could be herpes, but it could be worse. There's stories where the first time they have sex in their monogamous relationship, they get HIV. Now, it's not necessarily a death sentence nowadays because you can be on medication, but you're on really medication for the rest of your life. And at any point, it can turn into AIDS. And yes, you will die.
And it's a conversation that you have to have all the time. And it's just something you don't want to be on that stressors. I have a hard thing because it sounds really bad, but I had a great first time. So like I didn't have the experience that everyone else
How old
did.
were you?
I was 17, so I was a little older, but it was magical. It was with somebody that I loved.
Magical?
It was so magical.
It didn't hurt?
A little bit, but it was also, there's things that lead up to that.
Right.
So it wasn't like oh my goodness,
Was
there
he
was
older?
nothing that was in there. No, it was actually my ex. And he was my first.
Get out.
Yes. And
Lord have mercy. We're going to get into that.
I know we'll get into that. But yeah, it was a great first time. And so, but it felt right because I trusted him and I was in love. And that first love is like amazing.
I would love for her to be at least 19, 18, 19.
It's not worth it. Like, this is what I said. And I've said this to him and other people afterwards. As much as it was a great first time, I wish that the conversation was had with me, because what I wish my mom told me was the feelings you're feeling are actually normal. Mm-hmm. You're gonna, you should, I understand that you want to feel like you want to have sex, but you don't have to.
Right.
But since that conversation wasn't had with me, is all my friends had already had sex and they talked about it, and I started feeling a certain way, and it was just I think I do want to do this. But it was just, if she would have empowered me and said, hey, this is normal, you're gonna feel this way, but you don't have to do it, this is how I felt, I think I would have held on a little bit longer. I'm like, you know what? Or, okay, this sounds really bad too. Or if you teach kids self-pleasure, because I felt like if I would have known how to please myself then, I would have just said, you know what? I had a really nice evening. I'm going to go in my room and go take care of myself.
So I had to have this talk. I didn't go very into detail with her, but I know that I'm going to very soon. Because in that car conversation, I told him, you're going to want to. I'm not going to deny your hormones. I'm not going to deny that you're not going to see a guy and be like, I want something that feels good. Or I know that you know about vibrators. I know that you know about sex toys. I know that you know about all these things, but you really don't know how to process it all. So I think I'm going to try to find a book. So when I find one, I'll probably shout it out on one of the upcoming episodes after I read it. I'm trying to find a book that has to do with self-pleasure with teens and how to have that conversation, because I think I'd rather her 1,000% learn about her body. That way, even when her first time comes, it's not a shitty first time. Because I think for me, my first years of having sex, I can probably say up until maybe 26, 27, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't know what I liked. Mm-hmm. And then I don't think until now I'm even still learning, and I'm like, man, why wasn't I doing this? This is probably, no, I'm not going to say it. Let me shut my mouth. See, I'm giving out too much. There's something that I did recently that I've been doing that it's some basic vanilla shit. It's nothing. When I told Mandy, she's like, bitch, what? You've never had that? You're so fucking vanilla.
Oh no, I'm curious.
Yeah, it's something really stupid. But I'm like, no one had ever done that. And I'm like, if I would have known, if I even would have known myself how to pleasure myself, I would have already had someone do that to me.
See, it's the conversation of having self-pleasure with women, with
Right.
teenage girls. I think that's the difference, because we know boys do it. And so what do we say? We tell young boys, like, just make sure your door is locked. You do it in your own privacy. We don't shame young boys for the fact that we know
don't.
that they're going to self-please themselves. You don't. Like, I know he's in that phase, but I know they're that age, and middle school boys that's what they're doing. And so
I don't know shit about boys.
it's just, I mean, because, I see that in the morning, and I'm like, go take care of that, because I don't want to see it. But, young boys it's common, that concept of them self-pleasing themselves. It's just like, hey, do it in your own privacy. We don't ever talk about young girls doing it. And honestly,
we look at it as dirty and whores.
Yes. And I remember a girl in high school used to have a toy, and I used to look at her like she was crazy. Like, you're doing what? But I'm like, at least she was doing it to her. Like, how is that not dirty? Like, how is that dirty when a boy doing it to me was, like, to me, I don't understand why one's acceptable and one's not. So I've been trying to figure out how to have, my daughter's 5, so it's different.
Yeah,
but when she's of age, how do I have that conversation of, I'd rather you do this before this? Because I skipped that. I didn't learn how to. The first time I played with myself, I was 20.
Girl, I was older than that. I was already married with a kid walking around, and I remember I still can't. I've been able to been good once with my hand, and I just
my hand is no good.
Look, what is this? Where is the battery for my finger?
I was like, my hand doesn't move that fast. I don't know what to do. Like,
I just talked about it with Carla last episode. She's like, oh, I'm a pro. I can do it all day. And I'm like, you lucky motherfucker. But I remember I used the vibrator for the first time. I was on the couch in this living room when I was married. And I was like, oh, what was that? I must have been 23 years old when I tell you. It was the most amazing. I'm like, I need it again and again and again and again.
Then you get addicted, and then you get the right size. Yeah.
Right. And then I'm like, okay, but why? I've never put anything in. I don't like putting stuff in.
Yeah, I don't find that pleasure.
Yeah,
I just rather have a guy for that.
Right, but I'd rather her actually learn. I don't think I want to buy her a toy.
No, but yeah.
Just gotta figure out. I'm gonna figure out with the thing. But another thing with you having a boy, and he's, a preteen now. Mm-hmm. So he's like a tween. The conversation that you have to have with boys about respecting girls. Because we talk about, we want our girls to be virgins. We want our girls to this, our girls to do that. But it takes a boy to come into their life and say whatever they're going to say to try to get some, because they're not shamed or talked about like something's wrong for them to not be virgins or to hold out. What is your conversation with him when it comes to girls?
So we're slowly there. So he's still innocent. Okay. And so that's the hard part.
You have like 2 more years.
I call it the plague. I feel like it's going to hit them at some point in middle school. I know some of his friends that I've noticed that the bug has bit them. They've hit maturity, and I know they see girls in a different way. My son has not gotten there yet. He knows he likes girls. Okay. But he knows he likes smart girls, which I love. But he doesn't know what to do with it. So like, he'll have a girlfriend, but they just see each other in school, and he hasn't done anything. So I don't know how far to cross the line.
Like, who is these girls' mamas that's letting them have boyfriends?
Oh man, he's gotten a pair of Jordans before, which I made him return.
What?
Yeah, last Valentine's Day, I made him return it. I was like, she needs to know that she does not need to buy your love. Like, I was so upset. He got
my daughter tried to do that.
Jordans.
My daughter promised this little boy a pair of Gucci slides, girl.
Ooh, she could get that for me though.
Me too. I'm out here taking care of you, and you got Gucci money, and you offering it to this snotty little boy, and your mom, got money like that? Because you can pay a bill or two in this house.
Exactly.
I made her go back to that school and tell everybody that she ain't got no money. She's not buying no damn Gucci slides. I made her put it on a group chat. Don't play with me with your little lying ass.
It's hard to introduce. I don't know what to introduce.
I think that's dope though that you made him give it back.
I did, because I also don't want him to feel like that's what girls are supposed to do. Right. I want him to understand like that's not. And also, so we have heavy, great women influence. My mother's very involved in his life. Like, they're super close. My grandmother, which is his great grandmother, super close in his life. So he does have solid women, and I take him on dates, and he opens up the door. So I want him to understand, like,
such a good mom.
I love it. I want him to know how to treat women, and I hope that just by example. But I know that I feel like once I see that light bulb click, or when it starts making that switch to where he may be looking at girls more a little bit more sexually than just, I know I like her. I want to have more conversations. There's actually a book that I have waiting, and it talks about like dating and teenagers. And because I'm afraid of the whole consent talk. And I just don't want, now the girl's mad at you, the story changes.
The consent one is really big. I have that conversation with my boyfriend all the time, and he's just like, listen, at any point, like, girls will just get mad because you don't want to be with them and change up the story. And there's not much you can do. That I think that comes from how you raise the girl, as well as what you tell the boys. And I love how you are so involved with the boy, because I think it's that love for his mother and that respect to his mother that makes them treat a woman a certain way. And I can definitely see the difference with the guy that I was dating before and the guy that I'm dating now. You know, how that relationship is so different. And right now it's like, we're talking about a mama's boy. Like, mama's boy. And it makes a world of a difference when they truly love you, how they treat you. Oh my God.
I never believed in that saying. And my ex had issues with his mom, and it makes sense. And now I've seen examples of people who've had great relationships with their mom and the way they treat women. And I was like, if any of those little cliche things are true, that one is a true statement.
The mama
is so true.
It's very, very, very true. So I'm like, wow, I don't have a son, but if I ever were to, you know, have another child and it's a son, that's one thing that I want to instill into him. It's like, love him and have him love me and respect me the same way he would other women, and like his sister or his siblings, like whatever it is, like you have to have that respect. And I think that is what allows them to maybe not get caught up into so many different issues with women.
Yeah.
But anyways, damn, that was not, see, this is the great part about the conversation. It was not part of it, but I like that we went into it because I haven't had, well, I've had Jenna, but I haven't really had anyone with a teenage boy. So we can tell it's completely different raising them.
Yeah. Like, I'm a boy's mom. So my daughter's the one who scares me. I love sports. I am on the sideline. I hate hearing me on the recordings when they record the games because I sound super aggressive. Like, I am that mom. I am screaming. Like, I was, man, sounds so bad. I'll curse another kid out if I feel like they were too rough on my kid. And then I'm like, yo, go get him on the next play. Like,
fuck
I am
him up.
so, like, yes, exactly. I'm like, play between the whistle, go get him. Like, I'm a
me. That's who
mom.
I wanted to be. Like, I cried when I found out I was having a girl. Then I tried to put her in basketball. There's 2 seasons. There's pictures, and the girl was dancing in the middle of the fucking court.
That's
and I'm like,
daughter.
come on, what the fuck? Then she wants heels and lipstick and makeup and hair, and I'm like, I'm fucking doomed. I didn't get anything.
But she'll take care of you. Like,
oh, she cooks for me. She'll rub my feet. I mean, now
girls are great. They really. I mean, I do have a great relationship with my mom. So like, I feel like that's gonna be with my daughter. However, she tries me. Like,
you've seen
she's
nothing
only 5,
yet, and
I'm terrified. So she's part of my multiple daily prayers.
You have seen nothing yet. But Ashley, going into the thing, I wanted to talk about coping with breaking up in your 20s and, you know, how to move on and start dating again. So you have, from the get-go when I met you and we had the consultation, you gave me like a background of you, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So you were married. You're no longer married. So just give us a background of how that worked, like the time frame, the age, and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Met him when I was 16, and I know we started technically officially dating when I was like 17. And, you know, typical, I was cheerleader, you know, football player, went into the Marine Corps. So then I got pregnant when he came home during one of his, right after boot camp, he came home. And no lie, by the way, we only had sex once when he was home. And that was the time that I got pregnant. I was so mad.
How old are you?
I was 7. No, I just turned 18, literally. So my birthday's in December, and I had just turned 18 when I got pregnant. But I still had a whole senior year to go through.
Right.
And at that point, I already did early admits, got accepted to like my #1 college, and I thought I had my whole life figured out until I didn't. And so when I found out that I was pregnant, he lived in California. So we had a long distance relationship. We were trying to figure that out. But the day after I graduated, I moved to California. We got married, and that was my life.
So you didn't go to college?
I didn't. I ended up doing online school.
Okay.
And then now I do hybrid schooling. So it's just that forever long.
So you haven't
schooling.
finished your bachelor's yet?
I haven't finished. I have one more semester for my bachelor's. So
That's one thing I scream to my daughter. It's like, hey, if you don't finish, going back real quick, it's like if you have a child as a mother,
it's hard.
It's possible. We're doing it. You guys are going to have a great life. The kids are going to have a fine life if you're, hustling your work, but your personal life is just on the back burner. Exactly. So you're how old now?
Me, I'm 30. I'll be 31 soon.
Hey.
I feel like once I'm 31, I'm officially in my 30s.
Girl, don't. It goes by really, really fast. This 31 is going to come in 2, 3, 4, 5. They come right back to back, like every 6 months instead of every year. So how was the marriage? Okay, you're now married at 18. When did you guys decide to split?
Oh my goodness. So it's kind of fresh. It'll be a year that we have not been together since last November. And that was actually the second time we split. We split before like 2 years ago. And then, you try it again and it just didn't work out. So it's still kind of recent, but what I always try to explain, it's so hard for me because I am that overthinker. And and I believe in therapy. So by the time we split, I already healed. I already was not in love. I already had processed it. It was so easy for me to walk away. It was a very calm conversation. I was like, it's actually his idea. And I was like, I think he was doing it to be a little mean. And I was like, I think that's a great idea. And it was pretty simple. Like, yeah. And I was on my computer and I was just like, okay.
And I'm glad you say that because I looked something up and it's like, why does it seem like relationships end in your 30s? Now that you have entered your 30s, I've been in here now for about 2 years. You seem that a lot of relationships, not just like loving marriages, but even friendships start ending in your 30s. It seems like when you hit 30s, everyone's getting married, having babies, or dropping like flies. It's one of the twos. So you start thinking, the breakups are harder in your 30s. Like there's a therapist called Heather DeCastro. She works at Millennium Psychotherapy. She said the factors that include that generation of millennials who wait longer to seriously date, meaning years long relationship, now end in our third decade. So now we're 30 and we're ending. The pressure to fit someone else new into your already fixed life, like your house, your adult job, it's harder to unravel them into that and bring them into it. So meanwhile, you have a fear of starting over. And now a lot of people I'm 30. I have to get married and kids. So do I stay in the relationship that I'm in? So I remember, and I don't know about which one of these you can relate to, when I was in my last relationship. So we started dating when I was 26, if I'm not mistaken, or turning 26. But towards the end, you start thinking, is this all there is? It's like, okay, so is this where it goes? Is this the best that it gets? You can spend a whole day at home together and not even like speak. You have to beg them to maybe turn off their phone or pay attention to you or speak to you or do something with you. You can, like I said, not speak for hours at a time. You can lay in bed and I don't know if you can relate to this, but you're laying in bed or maybe you're having dinner and you have this gut feeling that you're not supposed to be there. And I can't explain that feeling. It's just, it's there and you can't breathe. You're like suffocating. It's like, it feels like heartburn, but it's not heartburn. And you're like, I know I'm not supposed to be there. But in your mind, you're like, maybe this is it. They're not a bad person. I should just stay here and stick it out. Like, did you feel any of that when you were going through yours?
Similar. I mean, I don't think I ever thought that I wasn't supposed to be there. I felt like, how when you ask people who've been married for years and talking about 20, 30, 40 years, and you ask what's the trick to marriage? And they're like, it's a lot of hard work. I thought that misery was the hard work. Like, I was like, okay, like this is what they were saying. And so to me, to be honest, which sounds kind of bad, it takes two. So if I felt like during that miserable time, he was willing to put in the work and it to be miserable with me, at least we were knew we were both working, then I think I would have stuck it out and been like, okay, yes, because I was afraid of the same stuff, different guy. I was like, I don't want to waste all these years and have the same issues because this is what marriage is supposed to be. But then, I prayed about it. A lot of stuff happened and I got to a point where I was like, no, I know I deserve more. And even if I'm alone, I'm okay because that's way better than really mental health. I had major depression, major anxiety. I just didn't feel like me. And I was just sad all the time.
You lose yourself
all
in the
the time.
relationship.
You completely. So once I kind of got out of that, but you not necessarily, like I said, I didn't have it that I didn't feel like I belonged, but I did have that question, like, is this really it? Is there...
Right. Is this all there is? Is this it?
Like,
this is it?
Exactly.
There's
Yeah.
no
So
more?
I did have that. And then that was kind of sad and depressing because I'm like, really? Like, this is what people are experiencing?
You're only 30. So if you're planning to live till 60, 70, that's another 40 years of that feeling. That's not going to get any better.
And I actually try not to make a decision approaching 30. I love podcasts. I was listening to like any kind of podcast that I can. And a lot of them said that you do have this change at 30. And one book that I read said that try not to make major decisions when you're approaching 30, because a lot of it's just like this transition period, and sometimes it'll like level set. But what I had realized is I was discovering myself. So there wasn't a transition. It was just, well, I guess there was a transition. It wasn't that I was going to go back to being normal. This was my new normal. And so it was easy for me to understand that I actually, we had this conversation the other day. I was like, I was coasting. I mean, financially we were doing great, so I didn't need to leave him. So when he brought the idea, I was like, okay, it was easy for me to want to walk away.
But I love the fact that you said that you went to therapy and you had already dealt with it and healed, because I did the same thing. I had been going to therapy for months and months before, dealing with myself. Then I brought him into the therapy session. So when we bring that in, I was already okay. I knew I had felt out of love. So there are times where I remember talking to my therapist and I'd be like, I feel like I'm dragging him along and maybe I might be using him. And she's like, well, if he wants to be there, he'll still be there. You're not doing anything wrong by him being there. And I'm like, well, I guess you're right. So there's certain things that I allowed and I dragged it till the time was, I guess, right. But when we broke up and the big news came out to him, it was like, it hurt him. But to me, I was done. I think my pain was hurting him and knowing that I had hurt him. But outside of that, I knew my feelings were over. I didn't have to deal with a breakup. Yeah. So some people think, oh, you were just with him the other day and now you have someone else, like just a couple months later, which is what I want to talk to you about, because now we left a relationship as terrified as we were, because you're like you said, he's not a bad person. Financially, you're okay. He's probably a great father. So you're thinking, I have everything textbook wise that you're supposed to have. Why am I leaving him? Am I being a selfish bitch? Like, you want more, so you think you're better than me? Because I used to get that all the time. So you think you're better than me because you want more? And I'm like, no, I just want something.
Oh no, he was a shitty husband though. I ain't gonna lie. So like, because you're saying he's not a bad person. He was a shitty ass husband. Oh, he's a great, and he was a bad father then too. But since we separated, he's actually a great father. He stepped up and proved me wrong, and I'm so happy with that.
I think sometimes we can hold each other back too.
Oh, 100%.
So you held him
behind mine.
Oh,
he hid behind like, oh, mom's gonna be there, so I don't need to be there. Mom, like that's what it was. So then when we were no longer together, well, mom's there, but daddy's not there. Right. And so it made him step up in that sense. I also think he was trying to like look good in front of girls, so I don't really care. I do stuff with my kids, taking pictures and stuff like that.
Right. Whatever it is.
I think part of it, but I don't care. My kids are happy. So I don't care what your motivating force is. They're happy.
Whatever it takes. This past summer when my daughter's dad kept her for the summer, right? And I'm like, whoa. He decided to keep her for a month. And that has never happened. Like, to get 2 days out of him is like pulling teeth. But I know it's because he just had a new daughter. She was just a couple months old. She's a teenager. She was able to stay and help his baby mama with the baby. I didn't care what it was. I said, babysit it or not, keep her. She is happy. She's glad to be with her. Whatever the reason was for you to have her there, she's there and she's having a good time with you. Even if she's not going anywhere. Even if because there's times that he was gone and she was with his baby mama at the house and the little girl. And I don't care. Because that's your baby mom. That's who you live with. That's your family. So that's her family there. The same way that when she comes back home here, if I have someone, her family is here with who I'm with.
Exactly.
Right. So how do you now go back? We were talking about now dating again. Because it's like, how fast do you do it? For me, I had healed. So when 3 months later, 2 to 6, 4 months later, when I'm like already like dealing with someone else, and my friends were like, it's too fast for you to have feelings. Like, you just left this man a couple months ago. Like, you were just with him the other day. Like, how can you have feelings for someone else? And I'm like, because my feelings were gone a long time ago. And I'm allowed to know what I want. And I knew what I wanted. I had prayed and prayed for what I'm getting now. I have it in front of me. Why am I not going to be scared? For what?
Yeah.
So how do you feel? Because you were telling me you have some issues with like feeling guilty as a mom. I just be like, I gotta get over it. I got a new nigga.
Yeah. I think we've had some recent conversations I have more recent conversations with my ex about it, because I am struggling with that, because I feel like when you have a breakup and it leans more, I mean, granted, it takes two.
Right.
But some majority of the time it's one person's fault more. And so when it's one person's fault more, the mom gets a short end of the stick when it comes to these things. So I did not have fun, as a young adult when I became a mom. Once I became a mom at a young age, it was about my kid. And I was boring. I'll say that. I really was. It was about him. So I missed the club scene. I missed we did do clubbing together at one point, and we all did it together. But I just didn't have my own friends.
Right.
So now... Yeah. So I feel like, actually I explained this to one of my friends the other day. I feel like I was kind of on a prison sentence. And when you're in jail for, I've never been in jail.
I bet I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but I don't know.
I ain't never been in jail. I have never stepped foot in jail. But my example would be when people have those prison sentence and maybe they're gone for 10 or 15 years and they come out and now the cell phones are way different. And then there's all this new technology. I feel like that's what happened to me. I felt like I had been off this planet, and now I'm thrown into this dating world where there's these apps and there's these this and there's this, and I'm like, this, I barely was in it. I was young when I was in the relationship, so it's a whole new world to discover at 30.
Yikes. But
I'm having so much fun. I've been 5 different people this year. I hit the second we separated, I was like, ooh, I want to be a hoe phase. I want to have fun. That's exhausting. I want to date a whole bunch of people. That's exhausting. Then it was okay, I just want to focus on my creatives. And that's kind of how the podcast came out. And I was anti-guys for a while. And that doesn't last long. So then I just right-sized. So it was you know what? I realize I like the pace I'm at right now. But I'm definitely a relationship type person. It is what it is. And I'm just accepting that
and
that's
there's nothing
me.
wrong with that. And you can be a relationship for the next 3 years with 3 different people. It is what it is. But if you like dating, you like dating.
And I think it's exhausting to keep track of multiple people. I just don't want to text different people on the phone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you have a boyfriend or if you're dealing with one person, you can make it work with them as long as it works. You don't know if it'll last or if it'll be forever or not. Right now, I take it one day at a time. I love what I have going on. And it's I'm thinking long term and I would love for it to last forever. And we're working towards it for it to last forever. But if it doesn't, it doesn't, And we'll see what happens. And I think about it now because we're having this conversation and I'm like, fuck. Do I give love another chance if this doesn't work? Because it is exhausting. It hurts. It's draining to have heartbreak.
It does.
Breakups suck.
I feel like they're harder. What I think I'm more afraid of, though, even though it did suck, this one sucked, but I feel like the future will suck a little bit more just because I'm more into it. I'm older and it really is a choice. I didn't just happen to fall in love. I'm choosing to love that person. I'm choosing to eventually bring my children into that world. So it's not just affecting me, it's affecting them. So
and you made that choice.
And you made that choice. So I feel like if it fails the next time around, that's going to hurt me. Now I always tell people, we were young. I fall back on that all the time. We were young. I don't think anyone should be able to make a lifetime decision choice before the age of 25, to be honest. I don't think anyone should be allowed to get married before the age of 25. They shouldn't be allowed to have kids before the age of 25 because I just think that, granted, I was okay, but we just don't know. I didn't even really know myself even at 26. I started discovering myself.
Right.
But I'm just now at that point where I know myself. And I think
also 30 is that pivotal moment. You had all these years in your 20s to experiment and to do, whatever it was, to see what you like and you don't like, who you are, who you don't want to be, because you probably did some shit that you're like, that's the person of me, that's the side of me that I don't want to be. Let me get rid of that.
Exactly.
So once, you're in your late 20s, I'll probably even say 28. around
it
28.
starts,
I think it starts at 28, and you start feeling that
yeah.
shift, and you're like, oh, okay. You start thinking, oh, I got to get it together by 30. And I think that's the wrong mentality. It's more once you get to 30, it's like, I'm here. I look good. I feel great. And I know who I am because I look good. You know what I'm saying?
I'm like, I feel like I get better with age. I'm like, every year, I'm like, oh, hey.
Because you literally look like you're 22.
Hang on.
No, you look super young. So we have to know that there is something about us when we're in our 30s that I wish I can still in my daughter's like baby girl, as much as I would love to be a grandma and, you know, see you have a family. Because I think about it, and I love family. You know, I love to be close-knit, which is why right now, like, the whole situation with my family, like, brings me down so much because I'm like, I want my family, but I don't have it for what stupid reasons. I think of her and I'm like, I would love my daughter to see her get married, to, you know, see her walk down the aisle, to have the grandchildren, but just not anytime soon. I want her to know who she is and be able to experience that to the fullest. Like, did you have a wedding?
I didn't. So when I do, it'll be the first time that I have a wedding, and it's going to be so big.
I don't know how big.
Not big as in people, but it's going to be a big deal.
A big fucking deal.
Big deal.
If I get married, oh, honey, this is going to be on People magazine, okay?
Yeah.
They're going to be like, who are you? Don't worry about it. Just put me on the cover.
I'm somebody, just so you know.
Just so you know, I'm the person. I just need to be on the cover for whatever, because I said so. You know?
I want a bachelorette party. I want to try on a wedding dress. I want the whole 9.
Yes.
I don't want a lot of people. I do say that because I only want whoever contributed to supporting our relationship.
Correct.
That's what I feel like. So I don't want to bring value.
If you didn't, stay over there.
I'll send you, look up pictures on Instagram. That's what you.
Make sure to document for you to watch on Facebook. Okay.
There you go. Exactly.
You can see it on there. I was gonna ask you a random question, and it was something I saw on the reel, and they're like, "What do you do with your gown after your divorce?" But you don't have a gown. I don't have a gown, so I guess it don't really matter. We can skip right over that one. Chop the bitch up. I don't know. I'm not gonna do it. Don't care about it. But actually, we're gonna go take a quick break. Guys, listen up. Let's talk about sex for a minute. Like, lately, this has been my favorite topic just because I've been having the best sex of my life. And part of the reason is because of Blue Chew. Oh, and my new man. Duh. So listen, BlueChew.com. Yeah, that's like the color blue. Blue Chew brings you the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis. So you know that works. Yep, this is like my secret to this long-distance relationship I'm having. I've been telling you that this long-distance relationship, I take it, and whenever we see each other, I just need him to lay down that pipe for hours, baby. You hear me? So he takes a Blue Chew, and my weekend feels like I took a round trip to heaven. Like, okay, you can leave now. I'll see you when I see you again because you just laid it down for hours. So fellas, you can take this at any time, day or night, even if on a full stomach. And since they're chewable, they work twice as fast as a pill. So you can be ready whenever an opportunity arises, if you know what I mean. So if you can benefit from a little extra time like I can because I'm in a long distance relationship, or if you go on a quick getaway with Bay and leave the kids behind, you know, you need that extra boost, take this Blue Chew. They're made in the US, and since Blue Chew prepares and ships direct, they're cheaper than a pharmacy. Also, it's prescribed right to your door in a discreet package. So if you have a nosy teenager like mine, she won't know what it is. You don't have to go to the pharmacy. You don't have to go to a doctor's office. None of it. Is literally right to your door in a box that no one will ever know what it is. So right now, we have a special deal for you guys. Go to BlueChew.com and get your first shipment free. Yes, that's hours of sex free on me. So you only have to pay the $5 shipping. Use the special promo code 3030. Again, that's BLUE chew.com. Promo code 30 to try it for the free. So thank you so much, Blue Chew, for sponsoring our podcast. Blue Chew is definitely the better, the cheaper, and the faster choice, you know, to get down. Now, when you get it, tag me. Send me your story. Like, I really want to know how it went. I'm going to be telling you more stories about how Blue Chew's been helping me on the weekends whenever Bae comes over. Now, let's get on with the show. Okay, so we're back and we're going to go straight into unsolicited advice. Now, if you guys want to send in an email about yourself or a friend or any advice that you want me to give you, because I'm an expert. I'm an unofficial expert of giving advice. You can send me an email at shitim30podcast@gmail.com. You can feel free to DM me as well, but I will probably lose your DM. So please email shitim30podcast@gmail.com. Send me your letter. Yours might be the one that I read next. And I'm going to give you great advice. So I know you want to do that. All right. So you're ready, Ashley?
I'm ready. Yeah.
Okay, this is a short one because we both have exes. So let's see how you would take it in.
Yes.
It says, in a couple of months, I'll be going back to my hometown to handle some business. And I put some things behind me. One of those things is confronting an ex who did me really fucking dirty. I feel like I need to see him to get some clarification on why he did what he did so I can move on with my life. But on the other hand, I don't know if I can handle seeing him without going on an emotional rage for what he did to me. This was over 3 years ago. Oh, God. Wow. But I still feel the pain of his emotional abuse. I have gotten in contact with him and he agreed to meet up with me. Do you think I should confront him or just move on and let things be? When I read this, I'm like, well, I kind of don't want to give you advice, but then I do because obviously you need it.
She also made up her mind too, though.
Yeah, so I'm like, you're messaging after you already spoke to him, which is fine because you still haven't met up with him. But give me what you think.
I'm gonna tell her that no. Like, so forgiveness is not about the other person. It's about yourself. And you don't need the other person to the explanation. The explanation is he was just fucked up. Like, at the end of the day, he was fucked up. But she needs to process a lot of that. I am a person who experienced emotional abuse. And I had to get to that point of learning how to forgive somebody without the I'm sorry. And I'm pro therapy. I think that if she's still holding on to it for 3 years, she needs to see a therapist and try to figure out why that's so triggering. And still, to me, sometimes people can do things and there really is nothing that they can say that's really going to make you feel better. Even if it is sorry, there's still some trauma there that he created. So you're not going to get the answer that you want. And I just don't think that. Also, don't give him that power. Why is he still holding on to that? So my answer is I'll say no. Absolutely no.
Cancel that.
Cancel.
Ghost him on that one. Change your number. Block him. Whatever it is. I don't see why you would need to see him.
Why?
There's, like you said, absolutely nothing this man can tell you to make you feel better. All you're doing is pouring salt into your wound. That's it. It's a wound that's completely open. You haven't healed it. So you're like, all right, let me just open it some more and put salt and alcohol and whatever else in to make it burn. And it's only going to burn because you're still feeling pain. 3 years is a really long time.
Really?
3 years, like 3 months ago, was forever.
Right?
You know, when I think about where I was, Mandy and I were talking the other day because a memory on like Facebook or Instagram came up from a year ago, and we're like, wow, like where I was last year is not at all where I thought I would be this year. Yeah. So we're talking about 3 times that. You're still in the same place. You haven't grown. You haven't shown that you are mentally healthy
at all.
You know? So yes, 110% go get therapy. No, do not meet up with him. Leave that man in the past where it is you're tagging along this baggage with you that's just holding you down and you can't move forward. You have, shackles to your feet. You can't move because this man has this power over you. 3 years later, and honey, let me tell you something. He's perfectly fine.
Yes.
He has moved on. He's not thinking about the pain he caused you anymore. He might have felt bad, so I'm not going to say he's a terrible person, but he probably forgave himself and then said, you know what? Yeah, I fucked up. Let me move on. Let me do better with the next person. Exactly. You have to be like, you know what? He fucked up. Let me heal from it and move on to someone else that will treat me better and learn from the mistake of him. Yeah. He is a lesson. It's a lesson learned. So learn your lesson and move on. Do not go back there. Like, there's nothing to confront. He can tell you I'm sorry. He can give you money. He can do whatever, which he's not. There's nothing he can do to make all that pain go away. You are the only person that can make that pain go away.
Agreed. No.
So, girl. No. Stay the fuck away.
You need your friends here. Like, I talk to your
Where
real
are
friends.
Her friends.
Yes, like please get her and tell. I love my friends because they would slap me across the face and they'd be like, "What are you?" Well, they wouldn't slap me,
but
quickness. Still, their mouths would. Yeah, absolutely not. Absolutely. Where are her friends?
Talk to your friends. And she has probably written because she doesn't want to talk to her friends. Because her friends have
Exactly.
probably already told her. So I feel like you already know the answer to this.
But you don't want the answer. You're hoping we tell
Right.
you, yeah, go, because
That girl, record the shit, tell that nigga that he ain't shit, blah, blah. No, girl, we're grown. We're
No.
grown. We're in our 30s. We're moving on past that, and you have now wasted 3 years of your fucking life. Literally
no more energy.
wasted it for no reason. You could have been out here in the gym looking good as hell with abs and like getting the finest brothers out
And
there.
that's the best way to heal. And if you're trying to quote unquote get back, if you are trying to get back, it is to show that he did not damage you. He did not ruin you.
Right.
You need to go heal, because he's not, like you said, he's not worried about her
At all. He moved on
completely.
And he's just like, yeah, I'll see you.
And if
like,
you want to
cool.
meet up with her, you're probably just trying to sleep with her, but you know.
That's the first thing I thought. He's like, oh, she's still stuck on me. Let me get some ass and keep it moving. And he's just gonna hurt you all over again. If he
All
hasn't
over again.
healed and he's still a dick, he's gonna be a dick to you all over again.
Exactly.
So yeah, walk the fuck away.
Agreed.
So going into my last one, and that's my shit talk. Yes. So I actually this one's kind of, it's a little heavy, but I was watching Dr. Phil. And I live here in Florida, so we deal a lot with children and deaths in the cars of heat. So there was a father, he left his twins in the car while he went to work. They passed away. He was in the military, great father. Now he's a social worker at the VA office. He has no criminal record, great husband. He went to work, worked an 8-hour shift, and left his kids in the car. They died.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. Like, it makes no sense. But they're trying to prosecute him now and put him away. And as I'm watching the story, at first, sometimes I'm like, yeah, you're just so dumb. Like, how could you do that? But I don't get it. But if it were to happen to me, I think about it. I'm like, I'm here. If you're busy, there's been times where I'm doing it. I forget Ayana at school. So I've never left her in the car, but there have been plenty of times where I'm so busy that she's like, Ma, did you forget about me? And I'm like, shit, I did. And she'll laugh now, but I have forgotten my kid at school because I'm doing so many other things. So I can only imagine headed to work or being extremely caught up in it and the baby's asleep and you pull up and you forget the baby's there, especially if it's not something you do every day.
Yeah.
If you're not the one that takes him to school every morning, if you're doing something outside of your routine, you can forget. I don't think this man should be prosecuted and put in jail. What can jail do to him that he's
Worse
not
than what
already paying for?
Yeah, I mean,
Right. There's no recovery. Like, jail is supposed to be a place where you recover people or you punish them. He's being punished already.
Jail's about
He's
money.
Right. And I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. The wife is like, I am still angry with him sometimes that she's dealing with her own pain. But she's like, I need him.
Yeah.
As much she has anger sometimes that she's sad, but they're working with it together. There's other kids within that family. That what are you gonna do now? Remove the father from the other 3 children's lives because he made a mistake with the other 2. So now let's ruin another 3 kids' lives. That's not fair. So my shit talk to this was it's more of the judicial system and how sometimes they just don't take so many things into consideration. It's like it's quick to get outraged and say, but he did A, B, C, and D. But let's look at who the person is. And they did. From what I saw in the reports, great person. He didn't do this on purpose. It's a really fucking shitty mistake,
It is.
that cost them both their 1-year-old twins' lives. But there's no reason, in my opinion, for this man to go to jail now and be separated from his family. And now that family is completely torn apart on top of the death of these 2 kids.
That's a heavy
So it was
shit
more
talk.
towards, it was so heavy. Well, shit, it held me down when I was like about to do this. I watched it like 3 hours ago and I'm like, fuck. It just made me angry.
Yeah.
Just because there's our fucking judicial system so fucked up. And you think about did you say that they executed the guy?
Oh, in Texas?
Yes.
Yeah.
They executed him. They did not reopen it. And I was like, damn, that sucks.
I don't know if I'm
But
surprised.
now we'll never know. We try to push for so many things to happen within the system, and it's just we win some, we lose some. And I don't know. I hope it doesn't happen with this specific person. So
Is this guy black?
But he doesn't. No, he's not black, but I don't think he's white either.
It's a person of color.
I believe so.
Yeah, that's a hard one. I think it's messed up just because of the simple fact that people can do way worse and get way less.
Right.
So for me, it's just like it doesn't make any sense. But however, I do think he's paying that. That's a very, very,
That's a lifetime sentence that he has.
that's a tough,
Literally a lifetime sentence.
And even though I don't understand too, I mean, there's a lot of things that I don't understand, doesn't make that it's wrong. It just means I can't relate. And I have a hard time, but I'm also mom, and I'm 24/7 mom. So my kids are always, if anything, I forget to go to work or something. I mean, I forget to go get my kids. So
none of us are perfect, and some mistakes are just greater than others.
That's a hard one. Yeah.
You know? And he, like I said, he has a lifetime sentence regardless.
Yeah.
So hopefully that doesn't go down that way. But you said you got a shit talk. Hopefully it's not as dark as mine.
Oh my goodness. Mine is like super stupid compared to that. But however, this is my shit talk.
No.
So I'm anti-fads, and anything that's like trendy or going on, I usually avoid. I've always been that way. But, you know, I was in the car with my mother and my grandmother, and they wanted to go to Popeyes. So we got this Popeyes chicken sandwich. I thought I'd never touch it because I feel like it's a freaking heart attack. But I get so irritated when things are so popular like this. And to me, I mean, it's a gimmick. It is what it is. But I tried it. Right. It is what it is. That's part of the cool crowd. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of hate for it. It is not that great. And I have no idea why people are going crazy waiting in lines. And just so we know, I live near where the guy got stabbed. Actually, they caught him. There's a person who got stabbed in Popeyes. It's literally like 15, 20 minutes away from where I live. And they just arrested him today.
Hell.
And so the fact that all these things are happening to where people are dying and people are fighting and it's over some chicken sandwich, and then some people are happy because they're like, oh, like it's not Chick-fil-A, at least because Chick-fil-A doesn't like gay people, or it's not this because it's a black company, and you get all these things where people are just comparing the two. I still don't understand it. It is way too big. It is not that great, and I just don't understand.
Did you get the spicy one or the regular one?
I got the spicy one.
Okay, which I hear that's supposed to be the best one.
Yeah. I mean, it's too big. Like, you know how something could be too big where you just don't get to enjoy, like, it was too much. It was just when I looked at it,
really?
Like, this is way too much. I'm not. I just think that everybody is down for the hype of everything. I'm trying. It's overly seasoned. I'm just letting everybody know it is not. It's not worth killing anybody over. It's not worth going to prison for, you guys. It's not worth fighting or getting jumped. It is not
worth diabetes and high blood pressure and high cholesterol.
It's not. Like, I'm just letting everyone. It is just a big old hunk of chicken in between two breads with some mayo and some lame pickles. It's not that great. So that's my shit talk, because I think that I finally went for something, and that was a fad, and I was disappointed.
I haven't had one yet.
Don't.
I feel like everyone that's gonna get one, and now I feel like, damn, I shouldn't say this. I've been an asshole and be like, everyone's gonna get it in 20 years, gonna have cancer. They're gonna die of like some weird disease. No, but it is a fad. I think it's everyone wants to go into the hype of different things, and I think it's dope for Popeyes. It's like, oh, like they figured it out, and they've put the words like, we're back and we're open on Sundays, and I'm like, oh, that's like, it's dope business. When I look at it from like the business standpoint, and I'm like, look at y'all figuring it out. Because when we had the pawn shop here, and my dad and I opened it in Orlando, pawn shops don't open on Sundays. So what did we do? We opened on Sundays. So we'd be like, open on Sundays. Now you come in Orlando and pawn shops are open on Sundays, all because when we first opened ours, we started doing Sundays. My dad's a workaholic. So, you know, that I thought that was like their business model behind it, and they're making a killing. But I don't think when people are like, oh, it's a black-owned business, it is. I get it.
It's a franchise.
But it is. They are all franchise. You don't know who owns what.
You don't know at honestly. All. We don't know.
Right? Come
Trump
on.
can have his money in it. We don't know.
Exactly. You don't know how many investors. It is like come on. Some of it is public. Like, come on, just get over it. But
plus,
no, I don't think. Listen, I'm not gonna have one. I don't have any desire to eat one.
Unless it falls on your lap, I wouldn't do it. I would not wait, because I'm going to tell you right now, the difference is, though, when I go to Chick-fil-A and there's a long line, it only takes me a few minutes to get my thing, and they're also great customer service. I was
amazing. And they smile, and they ask you how your day is.
Yes.
And if you ever go through the Chick-fil-A line and you don't have your money, you can tell them, like, oh, my God, like, I don't have they'll just give it to you and give you a receipt and say, come back and pay it.
They're great.
I've done it. See, and I felt like I wanted to scam them and do it again, but I felt like they were so nice and such like God-fearing people that I couldn't go over there and lie. I really wanted to be like, I forgot my thing, but then no, I was gonna try every Chick-fil-A and say I forgot my money. But I felt like God would punish me if I did that, because it's such great customer service. I'm not fucking.
Yes, they're great. They're great.
I'm not doing it. So that was a good one, because I'm not gonna have it. Unless if someone brings it like somewhere I'm
Exactly.
at, they don't have it. But I'm not gonna go make a line or risk getting stabbed at a Popeyes for a chicken sandwich.
No.
I'm good. I'll Uber Eats, whatever the fuck else I have to Uber Eats.
That's a good idea.
Yep. Well, tell us where we can all find you, my love, and thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
This is good. I liked it.
I
See,
enjoyed
you know what you're doing, girl.
I'm trying.
Where can they find you?
You guys can find me on all like social media at Dear Overthinker, or you can shoot me an email at dearoverthinker@gmail.com, and my website, which I really need to keep it up to date, but that's still dearoverthinker.com. I keep it really simple.
Look at my dog. Branding, baby. Branding.
One thing. You can also follow like my personal page, which is Life of Ashley Rose. But either way, you can find me anywhere and just support me, you guys. I love it. So happy to be here.
I'm so glad you came. Everything happens for a reason. I was so mad that night, and then it's better than I could have ever imagined. Now I do want to shout out every single one of the students that are doing the Idea to Launch intensive course. We had our first live session yesterday.
That's awesome.
Last night. And most everyone, about 80% of them showed up live. And it's a small group. So I think I had 10 yesterday that were there. I can give them all individual attention. Like, it's just, we're about to push all these within like 30 days.
That's
and
amazing.
Podcasting is, I love it. And people right now are talking about getting rid of, the likes. Instagram's getting rid of likes. And it's going to be a big shift. And I think that's going to push podcasting even more. So if you are thinking about starting a podcast, I'm not sure when I'm going to do a second round of Idea to Launch intensive, but I am creating a lower end flash course that'll be coming out for anyone that wants to start a podcast. It'll basically help you from an idea straight to launch, just to launching it in a flash course that'll be for a lower amount. It just won't have the intensive, or you won't be working with me. But it will have video tutorials. And I'm also going to do, for everyone that has podcasts already, I'm going to do a visuals and marketing masterclass. So if you have a podcast, yes.
I need that.
So how to do, audiograms, how to create marketing material for your guests to post, for people to interact on social media, how to lay out quotes, like what to post on that podcast page. All of that, I'll be doing a master class on that. So be on the lookout for it. And that is basically it. And then today's podcast is also brought to you by Audible. And I want to shout out a book that I'm listening to on Audible. It's where you can get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/shit-I'm30. There's over 180,000 titles to choose from your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Now, I want to talk to you guys about the 5 love languages of teenagers. You've probably heard of the 5 love languages for like relationships, but I found this one and I've talked about it before. I am now on chapter 7, according to my Audible app. And it's by Gary Chapman. So he's narrating and giving you real life stories of people that he's a therapist. So he had the kids and the parents and like what their stories were. And you can relate to so many of them. Like, oh, so it's not just my kid that hates me. Like everybody's kid hates them at this age. And then you have to learn how to talk to teenagers. And there's a different way, because we get angry. They get angry. There's so much emotion and hormones going on with them. And I'm just like, bitch, I feed you. I'm not going to feed you no more. Because I've literally said this to Ayana. So go to audibletrial.com/shit-I'm30 and you can get a free version of a free book. If at any point during the trial you don't want it anymore, you can cancel and you won't be charged, and you keep the book forever. So that, again, that's audibletrial.com/shit-I'm30. And we're wrapping up. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.